What's the point of being humble? Everyone always tells you to be humble, but have they ever walked a mile in your shoes? Do they really know how far you've come to be the person that stands before them today? They tell you to be humble, but do they know of your many sacrifices? Do they understand the pain that it took to boast the smile that you carry today? And speaking of today's world, why should you be humble when everyone else is doing the opposite and are seemingly winning by doing so? Why apply what seems like old rules of chivalry to the challenging modern world of today? What do you truly gain from being humble when it seems like most don't even value that trait at all? Of what benefit could being humble possibly be? By the end of this video, you are going to fully understand why it pays to be humble and what you can do with a little humility added to your life today. So, grab yourself a cup of tea, stay tuned, and let's talk about it. Hello, Howell family. I'm your host, HC. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Tea with HC, where we talk about issues that concern you on your journey to being true to you. In this episode, we are discussing the purpose of humility in 4 detailed steps. In current society, having a lack of respect and being overly boastful to the point of arrogance is seemingly celebrated. In a world where our most popular and celebrated figures brag and sing their own praises, yet do very little for those admiring them, showing off and pretending that we are above emotions, respect, and ultimately humanity is seen as normal. Many will go as far as maintaining this boastful ego until the very end, even after they understand that it is life itself that is the gift, and that anything that we have here today can be gone tomorrow. They often even go as far as submitting everything that is true to them, their morals, their values, and even their principles, just to maintain the recognition and false sense of appreciation garnered in this arrogance. However, following this path of arrogance will have you spending money and time that you don't have to impress people that you don't know, which only brings you farther and farther away from who you truly are. You shouldn't have to fight that fight. You have already been given the gift of life. I'll show you how being humble encourages a fulfilled life by helping you become more appreciative, by adding perspective to your life, by increasing respect for yourself and others, therefore helping with communication, and finally, how humility helps garner self-knowledge. And by then, hopefully I'll get to finish this cup of tea before it gets cold. I just poured it. In the first place, a humble approach helps you appreciate life. I'll explain. When you are humble, it is easy to oversee the blessings that you currently have in search of what you believe should be. For example, you are currently literate, you understand the English that is being spoken to you right now, so you have a healthy, working set of ears and a sound mind. And at the very least, you are on the route to becoming the best version of yourself, because you choose to do so. Those things may seem very minor to you. However, that is more than many can even fathom. Yet, in the stead of appreciation, an arrogant approach will have you wish for those very things only once they have already been taken away from you. Humility will help you appreciate the things that you have, as well as appreciate that you have been chosen to be here today, in your situation, with your current blessings, and with respect that although progress may take time, the process is necessary. Nothing is an accident. Humility helps with appreciation because it means to accept that you don't know it all, and that you are always learning on the journey to being true to you. As said by the legendary reggae icon Bob Marley, too much of anything is good for nothing. And unfortunately, sometimes that anything is our stubborn way of seeing life, which may have ceased to reap true benefits to our lives a very long time ago. For example, let's consider the idea that a committed relationship is what you believe is required for you to have the inner peace that you long for. Then, instead of thinking negatively about your situation and being single, humility will encourage a positive line of thinking. Encourage ideas such as, your being single means having more room for self-improvement, because in this unique period, true self-assessment can be made. It is probably the only idle time you will have for a long time, to prioritize the ignition of the dreams you have long sought after. For the sake of this example, let's say this period of you being single is to last for the next 2 years, where humility would eventually have you ready for the next step of your life. A lack of humility encourages an unappreciative and thus unproductive perspective of this period, resulting in you showing no personal progress or growth once that 2 years has espoused, which will likely just earn you 2 more years of being single, at worst, and at best, a relationship that went nowhere because you chose not to learn from your past mistakes. Being humble towards what you are going through opens up the possibility to understand your situation and grow in a progressive manner. Always remember, if you are faced with what you believe is negativity, reacting in a negative manner will just prove for that thing to really be as negative as you believe it to be. How you react to a situation will make it what it is. Try humility. Second, humility puts things in perspective. Believing that you are always 100% right does not leave room for different perspectives and possibilities, and thus you are bound to the same outcomes in life no matter how much you desire for different. A lack of humility will close your mind off to tolerance, and therefore close off avenues of potential successful realizations. In contrast, being humble encourages an open mind, therefore abridging the route to new possibilities and approaches to issues in your life. The different perspectives that become available because of a humble approach can serve to develop a better understanding, thus helping you live a more fulfilled life on the journey to becoming the best version of you. Humility can be seen as patience's sister virtue, because as humility leads to understanding, patience is needed for that process to come true. Humility encourages evaluating your surroundings and anticipates your course of action in any given environment. Example, let's say it is finally time to meet your significant other's parents for the very first time over dinner. As a first impression, being arrogant and boastful will have you doing more of the speaking and little to no listening at all. A little bit of humility and patience would have you know that her father is the one that owns the company that you boast about, and now he thinks you're just an annoying little brat. But I'll sip my tea. In other words, being humble will help you read the room as opposed to jumping the gun. Although it may have seemed like the best idea to boast, because in your own realm of things, you may very well be the best at what you do. However, you are often actually doing yourself a disservice by being the loudest in the room, and only humility would have helped you understand and accept that perspective. Third, humility earns respect and helps with communication. A humble approach is a bridge to the respect of others. When you are humble, you are not boastful. Therefore, you are listening to understand as opposed to staying quiet and wait for your turn to express yourself. Humility is a way of extending the olive branch and allowing for others to feel comfortable expressing themselves to you without you interrupting and making everything about you, which may come off as selfish, even though that's not your intention. This more humble approach to social circumstances will help you earn the respect of others tenfold. Humility is also a matter of self-respect, because it is the appreciation that there's a lot that you can learn from every walk of life, despite race, class, or creed. Humility thus begets appreciation for your own life and the life of others. This is possible because comporting yourself in a humble manner opens a bridge of communication to those around you that do not yet know you. One is more open to communicating with someone that doesn't seem to already know it all. Let's say you've gone to a foreign country and you want to learn a new language so you can get around. How much will someone be able to, or actually be willing to teach you if you can't stop boasting about the fact that you know one or two introductory words? Not much, I suppose. Finally, humility helps with knowledge of self and builds character. It is often the case that because of past traumas and other emotionally tumultuous events in our lives, that we develop habits, reflexes, and attitudes that come from a place of pain. Humility is a great way to face the emotional responses that you carry to the problems in your life that need logical solutions. Humility offers the self-awareness to gauge your power and your reactions according to a given situation. Your humility will allow for you to reevaluate the way you comport yourself and the way that you think, which is very helpful, despite how far you may have gotten in life with over-emotional responses to situations that did not warrant them. Humility helps improve your temperament and mental nature, and overall helps build your character, because very often, humility in the face of challenging events creates opportunities that can be used to improve yourself and the way you handle those events in the future. This understanding will lead to healing and a better overall life experience on the journey of you becoming the best version of you. Always remember, we can't heal if we don't understand what we need to heal from. Humility will give you access to that understanding of self. In this context, a humble approach is synonymous to a calculated approach, as opposed to a rushed one. You can therefore confidently take action towards your success, without feeling that you will have to regret or second think your decision when the consequences of your actions are due. Knowledge of self is a key element to living a fulfilled life, in which you can appreciate the successes and the mishaps that has brought you thus far. With a little humility added to your arsenal, you are much better suited to appreciate and understand yourself and the world around you on the journey of you becoming your best you. To put it all together, we can now easily assess and understand that on the count of your humility increasing your appreciation for life, adding perspective, earning your respect, and by helping to encourage knowledge of self, it can be clearly seen that humility not only has a purpose, but is a necessary part of having a fulfilled and successful life. What do you think about humility? I would love to read your comments as I finish this cup of tea, so please comment below. Like this channel and consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't already. That's it for today's episode of Tea with HC, Howell family. Hope this helped you appreciate humility from a different perspective. I'll see you here next time on Howell Consultations, the how-to being true to you. Finally, I get to drink my tea. It's cold.